MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get $100 in free bets. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. And make sure to check out Draft Day 2.0. Starting August 9th at noon Pacific, Ryan Real Money Kramer will begin drafting for 24 straight hours. The Fantasy Football Marathon will raise money for Daryl, a loyal listener who was injured in a motorcycle accident. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/draft day for more details. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Monday, August 8th, currently 5:15 on the East Coast. Here to break down the Tuesday schedule in Major League Baseball. And joining me to help me break it down is the main man, my co-host on the East Coast, Central Coast, whatever you want to call it. He's somewhere out there. Noah Beanick. Noah, how's it going, buddy?
How we going, Munaf? Doing pretty well. Yesterday's podcast was pretty fun. We don't know how we did on yesterday's podcast performance-wise, but I feel like we handicapped it pretty well. But as you know, recording it Monday afternoon, all of Monday's games are at night. So there is still time if you're listening to this at like Monday, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, to jump into our Moonshot Monday on a late night. There's a couple of them at 10 o'clock tonight. So jump in there and maybe win an SGPN gift card.
Yeah, and if you're watching the live stream on YouTube, you could get that information obviously live since we are live on YouTube. So Moonshot Mondays was launched as of this morning. It's all on the MLB Gambling Podcast Twitter account. All you have to do is pick a hitter to hit a home run on the schedule on Monday, put it in the odds, and make sure you're following the MLB Gambling Podcast Twitter account, and the winner will win a $10 gift card to the merch store for SGPN. So
lots of entrances. Love it.
Yeah, a lot of great response so far. The Discord server MLB channel has been popping off with topics about home runs and then bets and things like that. I've gotten a lot of responses on the post that we put up as well. So hopefully we can carry that for the rest of the season as we are in the dog days of August, as we kind of lead up to the football season and also kind of start winding down the MLB season as well. Noah, you mentioned it. There's only 7 games on the Monday schedule. It's pretty ugly slate with some duds in there, but I think we have some great matchups on the Tuesday schedule. We have we have Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies. Alek Manoah is going to go up against the Orioles, and low-key good matchup. I think you mentioned this: Martin Perez versus Jose Urquidy, Rangers and the Astros. That'll be a fun one, but the marquee one for tomorrow night is going to be Garrett Cole and Luis Castillo between 100%. The Yankees and the Mariners. So that'll be a lot of fun. But anything kind of caught your eye between the last time we recorded?
No, I don't think there's anything notable. I guess we got great response from the power rankings post as well. On Reddit, it took off. So appreciate the response that you guys gave us and the support that you showed. So very, very fun beginning of like a light Monday for us. So just let us know if you liked those kind of power rankings. Maybe we do it like once every 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Every week. If you guys really game Monday slate, it kind of filled up some talking time for half the podcast. So it was fun.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we got a huge schedule on Tuesday, Noah. So let's just dive right into it, my man. First game is going to be the game 1 of a doubleheader, kicking off at 4:10 Eastern between the Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals. Lance Lynn on the mound for the Chicago White Sox. Brady Singer is going to be the pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. I currently do not see lines in front of me for this game, Noah, but I know you mentioned you had some money line prices for this game 1 between the Royals and the White Sox. You want to give those out?
I was talking about the games that I had leads for. Sorry.
Okay.
So this one we don't, and the second game as well.
Yeah. So maybe that'll drop later in the day, but I'll still go through obviously the pitching handicap here. And Lance Lynn, so far this season, since he's returned from the IL, he hasn't been very good. 2-4 record, 5.87 ERA. Last 5 games, not much better. 1-3 with a 6.41 ERA. And on the road, it's been atrocious for him as well, 0-2 with a 7.91 ERA. But I think the one bright spot in for Lance Lynn has been how he's done against the Kansas City Royals. His last start was against his Royals team back on last Wednesday, August 3rd, where he did go 6 innings in that game, only allowed one earned run, which was a home run that he gave up to, I believe it was Bobby Witt Jr. in that game. He struck out 8 in that game as well, and he has really good history against the Royals, believe it or not. Over his career, he's 7-2 with a 3.3 ERA, but I'm going to filter this down since 2019. He is a perfect 5-0 with a ERA of 1.09, 37 strikeouts in 5 appearances against the Royals since 2019. And like I mentioned, he's had three total starts as a pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, where he is a perfect 3-0 with a 0.45 ERA, 25 strikeouts in that span. So great history against the Royals. On the mound, like I mentioned, Brady Singer for the Kansas City Royals. 4-4 record, 3.67 ERA, 94 strikeouts, 22 walks. He's been really good over his last 5 games. He is 1-1 with a 2.53 ERA. Has already 3 appearances against the White Sox this season. 2 of them have been starts. He's pitched 15 innings against the White Sox. Only allowed 4 earned runs in that span. Last start, these two pitchers did match up, Brady Singer and Lance Lynn. In that game, Brady Singer did give up some runs there in 6 innings. He allowed 4 earned runs off of 11 hits, had 3 strikeouts. But other than that, I think he's been pretty solid for for the Kansas City Royals. I do like the under in this game between these two pitchers. With the history that Lance Lynn does have against the Royals, it's been dominating numbers. And I know the away record and the road numbers have not been very good, but I think historically, since Lance Lynn is familiar with this lineup, I'm going to go with Lance Lynn here on the Chicago White Sox money line and also take the under first 5 in this game. I'm going to take the bullpens out of it, just concentrate on the starting pitching here between these two guys. So under for me, and also Chicago White Sox money line here. Noah, what do you think?
Yeah, I like your under, and I actually really like the first 5 under because I'm still a sucker for Lance Lynn. I know this year really hasn't been his year, and of course it was probably because of the knee injury early on in the season that he missed 2.5 months because of. But this is a guy that's just going to attack with a steady diet of fastballs, and most of the time it is dominating. And also, Brady Singer is one of my guys that I've been following since he's in college as a Florida Gator, and that's like one of the 2 teams that I guess I have an allegiance for in the college ranks.
Yeah.
But love to follow those guys. And Singer, he's got a wicked 2-seamer that runs in on right-handers. So when he's going, he can be great. There are some days where he just doesn't have it. I feel like the right handicap would be a first 5 under and maybe a full game under as well, like you said.
Yeah, Brady Singer 2-1 since dating back to last season. This is going to be a 6th start against this White Sox team. 2-1 with a 1.91 ERA, so pretty good numbers for both of these pitchers against the opposition. So I think the under is probably the stronger play in this game between these two squads.
Love that. Do you want to touch on the second?
Yeah, we can quickly knock it out. I mean, it's the second game of a doubleheader here, Noah, but we just don't have pitchers listed. I've been trying to dig around. I do see a Jonathan Hazley for the Royals and Davis Martin, but I don't want to give out a handicap and not be the right pitchers, and also we don't have lines for either game here as well. So we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. So definitely do like the under with Lance Lynn and Brady Singer. Second game, I'll probably stay away for this game again. Not sure who the pitchers are. All right. Next game on the board, it's going to be a 7:05 Eastern start. Miami Marlins headed to Philly to take on the Phillies. Braxton Garrett on the mound for the Miami Marlins. Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. Looking at the lines for this game, Phillies are a heavy home favorite, -225, plus 190 on the money line for the Miami Marlins. Over under set at 7.5 with juice towards the over at -120. Run line -1.5, even money for the Phillies, and plus 1.5 -120 for the Miami Marlins. No, I'll let you lead this one off, buddy. No.
Wi-Fi is struggling. So
I know Marlins and
the Marlins.
yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. The Marlins are 2-7 in the last 9 games. The under is 7-2 in that span. And the Phillies, they're coming off of curb stomping the Nationals in a 4-game sweep. The wind is also blowing out 11 miles an hour to right center. So you're looking at the pitcher from Miami, Braxton Garrett, lefty, 2-5, 388 ERA, 66 strikeouts, 14 walks, and 58 innings pitched. He's had 4 straight starts with at least 7 strikeouts, so maybe a strikeout prop there. Although Phillies are not one of the teams that I like to target. However, Zach Wheeler's on the bump for Philly, 10-5, 269 ERA, 129 strikeouts, 25 walks, and 120.2 innings pitched this year. He has a 172 ERA in his last 3 starts, and I am eyeing a Zach Wheeler K prop. But for this pod, I'll just go ahead and take the Phillies run line until we get that number on the strikeouts.
Yeah, Wheeler had a start earlier. Earlier this season against the Miami Marlins, where he did get touched up, give up 7 earned runs and 3 innings pitched there. But that was all the way back in April. Not sure we can take a lot away from that because again, that was I think the second week of the season. But yeah, I think this is a good spot for the Phillies that they've been playing well. The offense seems like it's gotten it going here a little bit, and now you have your ace on the mound. I think the run line is the right play here for the Philadelphia Phillies, and we'll wait for the strikeout prop number that comes around for Zach Wheeler on game day. Just because I wish they would drop those numbers earlier than they usually do.
I know,
but yeah, we'll wait for that tomorrow. That's what Noah likes in this game. You have anything else for this game, Noah?
I'm just so in his last 3 starts, Wheeler has had at least 6 strikeouts, and this Miami team is striking out just under my threshold that I like to look at, which is 8, just over 8.75 times a game. They're at 867, but still, this Miami team is one of those teams that I like to fade, and Wheeler's been going good right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, 3-1 over his last.
We're gonna go Insano in the.
Yeah, go ahead.
My Wi-Fi is terrible.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Wheeler over his last 5 games, 3-1 with a 2.76 ERA. He's been doing really well over his last 5 starts. He's had victories against the Braves, the Pirates. He had a great game against the Cardinals where he threw 7 shutout innings, and he's gone at least 7 innings in 4 of his last 5 starts for the Philadelphia Phillies. So we'll keep an eye on the props here for Zach Wheeler tomorrow as they do drop.
Yeah. And Insano in the chat says that Miami leads the league in stolen bases. So why not look at a little bit of a Rojas or Wendell sprinkle on a stolen base prop as well?
Yeah, I like that. All right, before we get over to the next game, let me tell you guys about our presenting sponsor, WinBet. Thinking of joining WinBet? Now is a perfect time. New customers who bet $100 get a $100 free bet. If you're betting baseball, you have to check out WinBet and their reduced juice in baseball games, and it really makes them the place to bet on the MLB. Plus, WinBet Casino is always open 24 hours a day where you can go and get a 100% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. There's so much to choose from, and all you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 years or older and present in a state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Again, Draft Day 2.0. Ryan Real Money Kramer will be drafting fantasy football best ball teams for 24 hours straight. The drafting starts on August 9th at noon Pacific. The crew will be raising money for Daryl, a loyal listener who was injured in a motorcycle accident. You can draft with Ryan and a ton of special guests. All the details are at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/draft day. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/draft day. And also, we're also brought to you by Odds Trader. What is Odds Trader? Odds Trader is a place to compare odds for all the major sports books. You can also compare the different sign-up codes and promotions from sportsbook to get the best deal. The app also provides player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, projected game day weather for bettors to make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker so you can keep track of all the bets and your records of all your games that you're betting on and your betting activity. So all you have to do is go to oddstrader.com/bluewire. That's oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. OddsTrader, the number one for all your game day bets. All right, let's keep it rolling here. The next game on the board, it's going to be the Toronto Blue Jays in Baltimore to take on the Orioles, a 7:05 Eastern start. Alek Manoah on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. Kyle Bradish on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles. Looking at the lines for this game, I am seeing the Toronto Blue Jays are a -180 favorite. Baltimore Orioles are plus 155 on the money line. Over under set at 8.5 with juice towards the over at -115. Run line -1.5, -105 for the Toronto Blue Jays, and +1.5, -115 for the Baltimore Orioles. I'll start with Alek Manoah here. He's having a Cy Young caliber year for the Toronto Blue Jays. There's no question about that. 12-5 with a 2.45 ERA, 119 strikeouts to 30 walks. Over his last 5 games, he's 3-1 with a 2.84 ERA. On the road so far this season, 6-3 with a 2.39 ERA. And against AL East opponents, 1.64 ERA with a 4-2 record. Against the Orioles, like I mentioned, he did have a start earlier in the month of June where he threw 6 shutout innings, only allowed 1 hit to the Baltimore Orioles. Over his career, and this dates back to last season, this is going to be his 5th start against the Baltimore Orioles. Alek Manoah is 2-0 with a 2.42 ERA, 29 strikeouts in 4 appearances. His first ever start against the Baltimore Orioles was a rough one where he gave up 5 earned runs and 4 long bombs to the Baltimore Orioles. But since then, he's pitched in 19 innings against the Baltimore Orioles and only allowed 2 earned runs in that span to the Baltimore Orioles. On the other side for this matchup, it's going to be Kyle Bradish, like I mentioned. A couple of key things that I did find about Kyle Bradish, and I'll read off his numbers first. He's 1-4 with a 6.55 ERA. Over his last 5 games, 0-1 with a 6.17 ERA. 0-3 at home with a 6.75 ERA. But the one thing that really stuck out to me for Kyle Bradish is that against AL East opponents in his own division, he's 0-4 with a 9.69 ERA. And he did face the Toronto Blue Jays earlier this year on June 13th as well, where he went 4 1/3 innings and gave up 5 earned runs. And I dug a little deeper against AL East opponents. This is going to be his 7th game against an AL East opponent. So the prior 6 matchups, Kyle Bradish has allowed at least 3 earned runs within the first 5 innings, and the opponents are 6-0 on the run line in the first 5 innings against Kyle Bradish. So I really like the spot here for the Blue Jays here with Alek Manoah on the mound. He has great numbers, and Kyle Bradish has struggled against AL East division opponents. So I like the full game run line here. I'm also going to be on the first 5 run line for the Toronto Blue Jays and also take the Toronto Blue Jays first 5 team total over. Hopefully that number is at 2.5 for the Toronto Blue Jays, but those are the 3 ways I'm kind of attacking this game here. Noah, what do you think?
Sorry, guys. My Wi-Fi is really bad right now. I keep loading back in and you're staring at me. But you know what? I think this is just the case of an elite pitcher going up against the Orioles with Bradish on the mound. I found myself fading Bradish quite a few times here this year, but he does prove me wrong in some of those cases. I think I'm going to go back to the well again. I like Manoah in this spot against the Orioles, and I have the Orioles winning game 1 of the series. Again, Go ahead, watch that first game, and then judge your bet on this game based on what you saw in the first game. Use your eyes, and if you think that the Orioles, they got rolling with the sticks and they can get to Manoah ever in the history of baseball, and put up the least amount of runs this year in the MLB history. But seriously, like if the Orioles go out there and smack around, I believe it's I would be backing the Orioles again because this is a nice enticing price.
Yeah, plus 155. I mean, I get it, but I just the numbers that Kyle Bradish has put up has just been really bad. So, especially against AL East opponents. So I'm gonna stick with the Toronto Blue Jays here on the run line -1.5. minus 105. And again, a team total may be in play for the Toronto Blue Jays here as well. That number's not out yet, but if that number does come out around at 4.5, I will be on that over as well. Probably a little stack here for me with the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, let's get over to the next game on the schedule. It's going to be at the Atlanta Braves headed to Fenway Park to take on the Boston Red Sox. 7:10 Eastern start. Old man matchup here. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. Rich Hill on the mound for the Boston Red Sox. Looking at the lines for this game, let me get back to the odd screen here. I am currently seeing the Boston Red Sox are a home underdog in this game, plus 125 on the money line for the Boston Red Sox. Atlanta Braves are road favorite here of minus 145. Over under set at 9.5 with juice towards the over at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 115 for the Atlanta Braves and plus 1.5 minus 135 for the Atlanta Braves. Charlie Morton, he's kind of struggled this year so far. He's kind of been inconsistent. He's 5-5 with a 4.09 ERA. 134 strikeouts to 43 walks. Over his last 5 games, he is 1-2 with a 3.34 ERA. He has been good recently, but on the road is where he really struggles. He's 2-4 with a 4.82 ERA. I'm sure he has a lot of history against the Boston Red Sox, and this probably dates all the way back to his days when he was with the Pirates. But over his career, he is 7-1 with against the Boston Red Sox with a 3.72 ERA. And I'm gonna filter this down since 2019 because the lineup has kind of been relatively the same guys in the lineup for the Astros. But Charlie Morton 4-0 with a 3.45 ERA, 53 strikeouts in 8 appearances against the Red Sox since 2019. Like I mentioned, for the Boston Red Sox, Rich Hill is on the mound, 4-5 with a 4.52 ERA. Last 5 games, 2-2 with a 4.81 ERA, and he's really struggled at Fenway Park, has Rich Hill, 1-3 with a 6.49 ERA. Against the Braves, not much history there recently. Over his career, and this dates all the way back to 2006, so not really relevant. His last start against the Braves was when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays last season, around July 18th, where he went 4 innings and allowed 3 earned runs. I really couldn't bring myself to a side on this game. I just feel like there's going to be some runs being put up in this game, Moa. I like the over 9.5 between these two pitchers with Rich Hill and Charlie Morton just because of the struggles, number one, that Morton has on the road and Rich Hill has at Fenway Park. So over 9.5 for me in this game.
Yeah, that was going to be basically my handicap too. I like the over here.
All right, there we go. Let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be a 7:10 Eastern start. The Cincinnati Reds taking on the New York Mets. Mike Minor on the mound for the Cincinnati Reds, and Carlos Carrasco takes the mound for the New York Mets. Looking at the lines for this game, I am seeing the New York Mets a very, very heavy favorite, close to a $3 favorite, minus 295 on the money line for the New York Mets, plus 245 for the Cincinnati Reds. Over under set at 9 in this game. Run line minus 1.5, minus 135 for the New York Mets. And on the run line, plus 1.5, plus 115 for the Cincinnati Reds. Noah, I'll let you lead this one off here. Reds and Mets.
Yeah, we talked about some trends on yesterday's podcast, and I said that, I don't think the Mets price was set correctly. And then today, I think it's a little too high, mainly because the Cincinnati Reds team has shown life. Now, yesterday I was saying it. The Reds had shown life, but they were pitching a pitcher that had not made an MLB start in 2022. He was coming up from the minor. This thing's too high, in my opinion, and it's tough to get down. I saw it at minus 305 about an hour and a half ago. The run line just hasn't been released yet. So did you see one? I didn't.
For the Mets, I'm seeing minus 1.5 at minus 135.
Yeah, I would go with that one if that's available to you guys right now. Mike Minor, he's on the mound for Cincinnati. He's 1-8, 6.19 ERA, 51 strikeouts, 25 walks, and 56.2 innings pitched this year. He has a 6.24 ERA on the road, just not really going well for him at all because that's not much of a difference from the total
Yeah.
ERA on the season. Carlos Carrasco, he's 12-4, 3.75 ERA, 114 strikeouts, 31 walks, and 117.2 innings pitched. In his last 6 starts, he has a 1.55 ERA. I think a team total for the Mets would be the next best play after that -1.5 run line. Munaf, what say you?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head here. Over the last 2 weeks, the New York Mets are number one in WRC plus against left-handed pitching, and that's exactly what Mike Minor is. They're also number three in slugging percentage. Just digging a little further into Mike Minor's numbers here, the 8 losses that he does have on the season, 7 out of those 8 games have been by 2 or more runs for in those games started by Mike Minor. So if you do like the the Mets here, I would take a look at the run line -1.5, -135, possibly a team total like you said there, Noah. But I just don't think that I don't think that Mike Minor's going to be able to really contain this lineup, especially looking at the WRC plus numbers where they are number one in the entire league. If the Reds are going to steal one, it's probably going to be tonight, coming off that series against the Atlanta Braves on Monday
A
night.
little bit of a letdown
Um,
spot.
yeah, a little bit of letdown spot. So I think that this is a game where you probably want to stack the New York Mets on that run line as well.
Yeah,
Anything else for this game, Noah?
no, I think that really it was the price that was low on the Mets yesterday. The price is really high today, but I still think both games we're taking the Mets. This isn't quite like the COVID and get down on the Reds' big price here in all 3 games and games you make a profit. I just don't see that out of the Reds team against this Mets team that we're seeing right now. After that series against the Braves, they look very impressive, and I'm not really willing to do that. The last team that we did that for 2 straight times, it was the Royals against the Blue Jays and the Cardinals against the Blue Jays. So
Yeah.
I just don't think the Mets are a team that provides that sort of value.
Yeah, I do agree with that. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the Cleveland Guardians headed to Detroit to take on the Tigers. 7:10 Eastern start. Shane Bieber on the mound for the Cleveland Guardians. Tyler Alexander on the mound for the Detroit Tigers. Looking at the opening lines for this game, I'm seeing the Guardians are a very heavy favorite of -195 on the road here, plus 165 home puppies for the Detroit Tigers. Over under set at 7.5, a juice towards the over at -120. Run line -1.5, -110 both ways, plus 1.5, -110 as well for the run line on the Detroit Tigers. Starting with Shane Bieber here. He's having, I guess, a year where it's not the usual Shane Bieber that we do see, right? He is 6-6 on the season with a 3.39 ERA, 126 strikeouts to 28 walks. Last 5 games, he is 3-2, while the ERA is at 4.01 for Shane Bieber. And he's had 2 starts in his last 5 starts where he has given it up to the Chicago White Sox, where he gave up 6 earned runs, and also to this Detroit Tigers team in Detroit back on July 6th. He got hit for 5 earned runs off of 7 hits by the Tigers in 5 2/3 innings pitched. Also allowed 3 walks in that game. So this is already going to be his 4th start against the Detroit Tigers this season. Um, I'm really trying to filter it down here. Over his career, 7-4 with a 2.61 ERA against the Tigers. But if I filter this down since early for this year, he has struggled, like I mentioned. He is 1-2 with a 3.48 ERA. It was really just that last start where he just had a bad outing against the Tigers, and maybe Noah, you being the Tigers follower, you can maybe shed some more light on this. But let me get to Tyler Alexander here. Alexander he's been okay for the Tigers. He is 2-5 with a 4.04 ERA. Last 5 games, 0-2 with a 3.31 ERA. Did have a great outing against the Guardians earlier this year, 4 1/3 inning. Only allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits. At home, 1-2 with a 3.57 ERA. I don't think I want to lay this big price here with Shane Bieber as a -195 favorite. I get it that he's had pretty good history against the Tigers, but I'm really leaning towards taking that run line of plus 1.5 with the Tigers at the -110 price for the Tigers here. What do you think here, Noah?
So my initial lean is I would be taking the under here. Just not a very good offense in Detroit, and given his career numbers, it's hard to doubt that Bieber is going to show up here and not play himself because let's face it, he normally just dominates us. Um, there was one series, I'm trying to find it, where the Tigers, they had a 4-game sweep of Cleveland in July, 4-1, 5-3, 11-4. But outside of that one little weekend, they are 1-5 against Cleveland this year. So, I mean, I think that was a really, I guess, hot moment for Detroit. At the beginning of July, they had won their 6 games in a row. Some people trying to start believing in the team again. But I think my play is the under just because I don't like the price, like you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Detroit, they're 1-4 in the last 5. They had 3 losses against Tampa Bay over the weekend, and I look at Tampa Bay and Cleveland, and I kind of just think they're the same team. So for me, I like the way that Bieber pitches against Detroit. Alexander, he hasn't been bad, so
Yeah.
I think there should be some. Alexander probably inflates that price a little bit. Not many people knowing who he is, and Bieber not having the best year.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get over, or before we get over to the next game, let me tell you guys about the newest sponsor on SGP, and it's going to be Run Your Pool. Run Your Pool is a home of competition, bringing sports fans and their social circles together to compete, connect, and make every game matter more. Run Your Pool offers every game type under the sun, from Pick'em and Survivor to fantasy pools. It's a one-stop shop for for sports gaming with customizable features that you don't get anywhere else. We've teamed up with Run Your Pool to host a pool for our official SGPN NFL Survivor contest. It's free to enter, and some amazing prizes will be announced soon. Hop in now and reserve your spot. Get in over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there, and I use it for mine. They just passed 4 million users, and now you can win on Sleeper by playing their new over-under game. First, in any sport, choose 2 or more players that you like and pick the over-under. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times to over 20 times the money you put in. With the NFL season right around the corner, Sleeper is the first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. The main reason we're excited about Over Under on Sleeper is that it's the only app where I can join my buddies' contests and play together. It's got a built-in group chat where I can see and copy my friends' picks with a tap of a button. It's insanely fun to ride it out together. Stop what you're doing and download Sleeper now to play their new Over Under game. Have fun with your friends and make some money. On your mobile device, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/SGP, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit of up to $100. Again, go to sleeper.com/SGP and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, Noah, let's keep the ball rolling here, my man. The next game on the board, Washington Nationals at Chicago to take on the Cubs, 8:05 Eastern start. Paulo Espino on the mound for the Washington Nationals. Marcus Stroman on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. Looking at the lines for this game, no totals are out yet, but we do have a money line price, -190 for the Chicago Cubs, +160 for the Washington Nationals. I will let you lead this one off here, Noah.
Yeah, so game 2 of the little toilet bowl semifinals here. Again, I'm going to say it one more time in this podcast, not just count this time. One more time it comes. Watch the first game of the series, see how these two teams play against each other. I think that the Cubs win the game 1, but, here, game 2, Paulo Espino's on the mound. He's 0-4 for the Washington Nationals, 4.20 ERA, 53 strikeouts, 13 walks in 70.2 innings pitched. That line, as of late, has just been going up and up. He has a 5.70 ERA in his last 7 games. And as for Marcus Stroman, he's 3-5, 4 ERA, 68 strikeouts, 18 walks in 74.1 innings pitched. He has been performing above expectation, I'd say. But his best games come on the road this year. at home, he has an 8.11 home ERA. So for me right now, I'm not willing to put my money onto a team's side. But when it comes to the total, I think you're looking at a over. We'll see where we get this thing at with the whole wind at Wrigley. I'm trying to see if I can, if they have a forecast for tomorrow's games where the wind is going to be. I probably should have had that before the podcast, knowing that I had this game. But if you're going to force a play out of me, it would be the over. And then, like I said, just watch these two teams play tonight on Monday night and make a decision for the money line. 8-mile-an-hour winds in from center field. So I think this is going to be a low total. I like the over.
Yeah, you probably see a 7.5 in this game if that total is if the wind is blowing in, especially. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I can trust either one of these offenses. I've seen a lot of Cubs games where they've won like 4-2, 4-3, that type of scenario. But Marcus Stroman, like you mentioned, I think that one thing that is kind of holding me back from betting on him is that he is 0-3 with a 7.94 ERA, and I want to see who he's faced at home so far this season. That's really inflated that ERA. His last start against the Mets at home, he had a really good start, 4 1/3, only allowed 1 earned run. But it was really back on June 3rd where he faced the Cardinals. He gave up 9 earned runs in 4 innings. Um, and then he had a start against the Tampa Bay Rays all the way back in April. Well, he gave up 7 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. So between those two games, he allowed, let's see, what's that, 16 earned runs in that span. So I think that's why really the ERA is really inflated for Marcus Stroman at home. But yeah, I'm going to dig a little more into this matchup and see what I like. Because Espino, especially when he's winless, it doesn't really, sway me one way or the other. But
No.
0-4, it's just not good for him right now. All right, let's get over to the next game. Maybe this might be a quick one here, Noah, because I know we were talking about this offline with the pitching matchup, but the Tampa Bay Rays head to Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. 8:10 Eastern start. I was thinking Ryan Yarbrough that probably will be either coming in after a spot starter for the Tampa Bay Rays. You had, I see unlisted again, but you said you had a pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays that was going to start possibly.
Yeah, I have possibly an opener in Jimmy Yacobonis, and we could see Yarbrough come in after him. They have done that before because he's normally a short inning starter, and they don't like him facing the top of the order in the first inning. They like him going 2-3, and then facing the top of the order in kind of his last inning. They don't like I guess that's what I think we could see here with Yacobonis opening and then Yarbrough coming in.
Yeah. Did you have anything else for this game? I know Woodruff's on the mound, but do you have any other handicap?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll mention trends. Tampa Bay, they're 4-1 in the last 5. Milwaukee, 1-5 in their last 6. In Yacobonis' last 3 appearances, he has gotten 5 outs, 3 outs, and 3 outs. The problem is he's given up 3 runs, 2 runs, and 3 runs, bringing his ERA to a 28.50. For Milwaukee, Brandon Woodruff is scheduled for this start here. He's 9-3, 3.49 ERA, 104 strikeouts, 27 walks, and 85 innings. He has a 2.11 home ERA. I think this is a really good spot for the Brew Crew to get a W. And as I still want him to cash that over 89.5 that I took him in the preseason. We'll see what happens here as they have kind of started a downhill slide. But I like them in the spot with Woodruff on the mound to get a W.
Yeah, I think it's a good bounce back spot for the Brewers. I mean, they need to start winning some games because, Cardinals got the sweep against the Yankees over the weekend, and they created a little bit of separation. And I know we talked about this yesterday. Now that the Cardinals are now the betting favorite for that NL Central division, so if they want to keep pace, you're gonna have to start winning some games here. So, definitely keep an eye out for this line as it will drop probably on game day. For these two squads. All right, let's keep it moving here. Noah, next game on the board, it's going to be a good pitching matchup here. Texas Rangers are in Houston to take on the Astros. 8:10 Eastern start. Martin Perez on the mound for the Texas Rangers and Jose Urquidy on the mound for the Houston Astros. Looking at the opening lines for this game, I am currently seeing the Astros are a -190 favorite on the money line, plus 160 on the money line for the Texas Rangers. Over under set at 7.5 with juice towards the over at -120. Run line -1.5 plus 125 for the Houston Astros and plus 1.5 -145 for the Texas Rangers. Let me start with Martin Perez here. He's been really, really good for the Texas Rangers so far this season. 9-2 with a 2.47 ERA. Over his last 5 games, 2-0 with a 1.38 ERA. That's in 4 starts. Against the Astros, he already has 2 appearances this season. He's 1-0 with a .56 ERA. He's allowed 1 earned run in 16 innings pitched against the Astros. On the road so far this year, 5-0 with a 2.23 ERA, 17 earned runs, and only in 68 and 2/3 innings pitched. And against the Astros over his career, Martin Perez, and this dates all the way back to 2013. Let me filter this down to last season. He is 2-1 with a 2.45 ERA, 15 strikeouts, and 4 appearances against the Astros. He really only had one bad start last year when he was with the Red Sox as a pitcher. He gave up 6 earned runs to the Astros in 2 innings. But other than that, he's been really solid against his Astros team. One start last year with the Red Sox, his first start, he went 7 2/3 of shutout baseball, gave up 6 hits. And then, like I mentioned, this season, against the Astros as a pitcher for the Rangers, 16 innings pitched, only allowed 1 earned run to the Houston Astros. On the mound for the Astros is Jose Urquidy, and Urquidy has been pretty good against the Rangers as well. On the season, he's 10-4 with a 3.62 ERA. At home, 4-2 with a 2.30 ERA. 2 appearances this season against the Texas Rangers, 12 and 2/3 innings pitched, only allowed 4 earned runs in that span, a 2.84 ERA against the Rangers this season. And then over his career against the Texas Rangers, Jose Urquidy is a perfect 4-0 with a 2.04 ERA, 41 strikeouts, and 6 appearances. So everything that's kind of what's pointing at to me is pretty much the under in this game, Noah. Both of these pitchers have gone deep into the game against the opponent. I'd like a first 5 under in this game. I like a full game under. I know it was at 8 when we were talking offline, but now I see that number at 7.5. So if you're able to still find an 8 and you're watching this live, I do like the under in this game between the Astros and the Rangers. I think that there is some value here, I think, on the Rangers at that plus 160 price, especially the way, like I mentioned, that Martin Perez has pitched against the Houston Astros, not only this season, but throughout his career, especially over the last 2 seasons. So I'll lean with the Rangers here, but my favorite play in this game is going to be the under, Noah.
Yeah, and the whole reason, I guess, why Malcolm had Houston ranked at 5 in his power rankings is because the Houston Astros offense hasn't really been there over the last week and a half. So if you want to back that, basically I was pointing down as Munaf was going through his handicap. Love the under here. Just a super radar have like under the radar pitching matchup that I love. So yes, going with the total under. Grab it. I kind of even like it at 7.5. Both these guys have gone well against these teams.
All right, let's get over to the next matchup of the evening.
Yeah, just back it.
I'm sorry, 8:40 Eastern start. The St. Louis Cardinals are in the Mile High City to take on the Colorado Rockies. Miles Mikolas is on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, earlier I was seeing Chad Kuhl was going to get the start here, but I think that may have changed to Ryan Feltner. Who did you handicap there, Noah? Noah's reconnecting here. So I'll read off the lines here. Let me see if I do have lines. I see one book still has Chad Kuhl as the opener, or sorry, as the starting pitcher for the Rockies here. So Cardinals are a minus 175 favorite on the money line, plus 150 for the Colorado Rockies. Over under is set at 11 for this game. Run line minus 1.5, minus 115 for the Cardinals, and plus 1.5, minus 105 for the Colorado Rockies. Noah, who did you handicap as the pitcher for the Colorado Rockies in this game?
I had Ryan Feltner. Not confident in it, but that's who I've got. So.
Okay. Yeah, let's run with Mikolas and Feltner here.
All right. So St. Louis, they're on a 7-game win streak right now. In Colorado, they're 2-7 in their last 9 games, but they return home after a little bit of a road trip. St. Louis, with Miles Michaelis on the mound, he's 8-8, 2.92 ERA, 106 strikeouts, 27 walks, in 138.2 innings pitched. He is slightly worse on the road with a 3.48 ERA, but honestly, I'm not too worried about that. Colorado, Ryan 5.75 ERA, 38 strikeouts, 11 walks in 40.2 innings pitched. Short starts are kind of what he has been doing for most of the year so far. Most of them, he's been good at home, including a 3.1 innings shutout against the Dodgers. So he only has 3 home starts. So not much data to look at there inside Coors Field. Now, me, Michaelis is so not much of that lateral movement on that changeup. I don't know how it's going to affect him here at Coors Field. And, it's the first game for the Cardinals during this road trip at Coors. So that's kind of a common fade for me. The first game of the series when the teams are in Denver is just take the Rockies. And plus,
I think that if the Cardinals and Rockies were playing tonight, Noah, I would have been on the Rockies because they're coming off that huge series sweep against the Yankees, and that maybe would have been something that they were still celebrating, and still on the back of their minds. But now that they've kind of had a day to process that, hey, we're on a 7-game win streak, we beat one of the best teams in the American League. I think that's something that they can build off the momentum going into Coors Field. I really hate fading teams that are on winning streaks here, especially the way that the Cardinals have been playing, especially since the trade deadline. Like you mentioned, they've won 7 in a row here.
yeah.
I'm going to stay with the Cardinals here. I think that they can get to, they can get to Ryan Feltner. I'm kind of looking at his opponents and who he's faced at home so far this year. It's been the Dodgers who like you mentioned, he had a great start against them. It's been the Atlanta Braves where he gave up 6 earned runs in 3 innings pitched, and then he also had the Marlins where he went 7 innings against the Marlins offense. It's just not very good in my eyes. So, you have another offense that's coming in that's swinging the bat very well right now. I'm going to stick with the Cardinals here at -1.5 on the run line at -115 in this game between these two squads. You have anything else for this game?
Sorry, I kind of talked over you. I thought my Wi-Fi is terrible today. I thought you were done talking. That's my apologies. But Nolan Arenado returning to Rockies to Colorado. So a place where he'd raked for most of his years. Maybe this is a spot for an over with Feltner on the mound. And Michaelis, I think his pitch repertoire would get affected here by the altitude. So over, and I still like the Rockies at the plus price, plus 150. Yeah, I think I'm willing to get down on that. So, yeah.
All right. Let's get over to the next game of the night. We're going to kick it off with the West Coast games here. The Los Angeles Angels headed to Oakland to take on the A's. 9:40 Eastern start. Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Los Angeles Angels and James Kaprielian on the mound for the Oakland A's. Looking at the lines for this game, currently seeing the Angels are a -175 favorite with Ohtani on the mound, plus 150 home puppies for the Oakland A's. Over under set at 6.5 at -115 towards the over. Run line -1.5 plus 105 for the Angels, and plus 1.5 -125 for the Oakland A's and James Kaprielian. I'll start with Ohtani here, and Ohtani, he's lost his last 3 starts in a row here for the Los Angeles Angels. His last start was, in fact, against his Oakland A's team, where he went 5 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits and allowed 2 earned runs in that span, but that was just a game where they were not getting much run support or giving much run support to Shohei Ohtani. And I feel like a lot of times when he is on the mound, that he he's the one putting up the offense for his own starts. If you kind of take a look at his last three starts, the Los Angeles Angels have scored a combined 2 runs in those three starts for Shohei Ohtani. And Caprillion has been going very well for the Oakland A's over his last 5 starts. On the season, he is 3-5 with a 4.32 ERA, but over his last 5 starts, James Caprillion 2-0 with a 1.98 ERA. Like I mentioned, his last start was against the Los Angeles Angels, where he went 5 1/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, and only gave up 1 earned run in that span to the Los Angeles Angels. The one thing that kind of gave me a red flag is that he is 0-3 at home with a 4.59 ERA, so he hasn't been able to pitch well on his home field. But I just feel like this price is just too much for Shohei Ohtani. I really couldn't come down on a side in this game, and I really wanted to look at how Caprillion has done against the Los Angeles Angels in his career. And going back to last season, Noah, James Caprillion is a perfect 3-0 with a 1.17 ERA, 25 strikeouts in 4 appearances against the Angels. So I'm just hoping that he can carry that momentum into at the Oakland Coliseum, and he continues to pitch well, because I feel like there is some value here with the plus 150 price with the Oakland A's going up against Ohtani, who, again, like I said, has not been able to get that run support from the Los Angeles Angels. So reluctantly, I'm going to go with the Oakland A's money line here, Noah. What do you think?
I think the comments here is saying might just take the dogs.
I agree.
Just Ohtani, he's going to be a public side, right?
Yeah, he always is, and you're paying that tax on Ohtani as well. So, let's go with the plus 150 on the Oakland A's here. And again, Caprillion just has historically great numbers against against the Los Angeles Angels. So, plus 150 for me on this game. I agree with Captain Insano there. All right, next game on the schedule, it's going to be. Let me get back to my screen here. Next game, we're going to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates in Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks. 9:40 Eastern start. Zach Thompson on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tommy Henry on the mound is what I'm seeing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Looking at the lines for this game, the Arizona Diamondbacks are a minus 155 home favorite, plus 135 on the money line as a road underdog for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Over under is set at 8.5. With juice towards the over at minus 120. Run line minus 1.5, plus 135 for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and plus 1.5 at minus 155 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Noah, I will let you lead this one off, my man. Pirates versus the Diamondbacks with Tommy Henry and Zach Thompson on the mound.
Yeah, toilet bowl semifinal game here, number 2. Like I mentioned earlier with the Cubs and Washington Nationals, watch game 1, see how it plays out. Game 1 might not be too telling, though, because it's a huge travel spot for Pittsburgh. But, I can't really give out a real handicap until I see how these two teams play against each other. Zach Thompson goes for Pittsburgh. I'm not, huge fan on him, but he has kind of been the second best pitcher for the Pirates this season. 5.15 ERA, 60 strikeouts, 33 walks, and 85.2 innings pitched. He's a 9.72 ERA in his last 3 games. And going for the Diamondbacks is Tommy Henry. And I thought I was pretty sharp for his first outing. I was going to take the first 5 under. Now it was set at 4, and there was only 1 run, and it was against Henry in the first inning, just settling into the MLB in this MLB debut. But 1-0 going into the bottom of the 5th, and Bad Beat City 3 runs on him in the bottom of the 5th. So that one ended up pushing. But Henry is a guy that, I have to credit him a lot, because in 2019, he was kind of that College World Series star that broke out onto the scene. And he was a guy that Michigan really needed to get to the College World Series. Now, if he didn't break out, there was no way they were getting there with only one pitcher, and it was Carl Kaufman, and he's still working through the minors right now as well. So what Henry is, he's a wicked lefty. He's got a snappy arm angle. His slider is going to be one of the best in the league. I'm telling you guys right now, he's low 90s, but that slider, he can put that thing on the back foot of a right-hander like it's nothing. And what do the Pirates do? like nobody else's business. They strike out to left-handed pitching. They are the number
Yep.
one team in strikeouts, left-handed pitching. This one is the lock, taking it blind. It's going to be set at 3.5, 4.5 because he's a rookie in his second start. This one we're smashing the over on Tommy Henry's strikeout prop. I'm betting his K prop tomorrow. As for the winner of the game, you guys have the pleasure of watching Monday's game, and we're recording it Monday afternoon. So I guess because I'm so high on Henry, first 5 money line on Arizona, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's probably the best play I can give you, though. But I love that Henry strikeout prop.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 2 weeks, Pittsburgh is striking out as a team against left-handed pitching 31% of the time, slugging 364, which has not been very good. So I'm gonna be with you on this Tommy Henry prop. I feel like this is probably gonna be your lock of the day for tomorrow.
Are you going to allow me to lock it if there's no odds there?
I mean, if that number comes, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if the books, come out with it. Maybe you could give it as like second lock, if you want to. But
I mean, he had 4 strikeouts in his first start. If they're sharp, they just put it at probably 4.5. I think that's probably the highest they could go.
Yeah, but I just feel like that they don't have probably enough information like you do about Tommy Henry because you followed him, throughout college, and you have
they
the
offered
numbers.
it start 1. They put it at 3.5.
Oh,
I
they
wasn't
did?
bold enough. I wasn't bold enough to take that over. I just decided to go with the first 5 under.
Yeah.
Should have went with the strikeout over, but yeah, who knows? Maybe they don't offer it because I mean, this is just a huge spot where they could get hammered, especially if we have a huge pull. Just go out there and break the books, man. Come on.
I think that if it is at 3.5, I will be sliming this with you because I don't see a reason why they won't put it at 3.5 again. I understand that the Pirates are, the worst team of striking out against left-handed pitching, but like they're probably just going to go off his last start. Oh, he had 4 in his last start. Let's just put it at 3.5 again, or maybe it is at 4.5. But we'll see tomorrow morning when these numbers do come out. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. 3 games left on the schedule here. We have the San Francisco Giants in San Diego to take on the Padres. 9:40 Eastern start. Alex Cobb on the mound for the San Francisco Giants. Joe Musgrove takes the mound for the San Diego Padres. Looking at the lines for this game, I am currently seeing the Padres are a minus 180 favorite at home, plus 155 on the money line for the Giants. Over under set at 7.5 with juice towards the under at minus 120. Run line minus 1.5 plus 120 for the Padres and plus 1.5 minus 140 for the Giants. Noah, I'll let you lead this one off. Alex Cobb versus Joe Musgrove, Giants versus Padres.
Yeah, so not going great for the Giants as of late. They're 5-12 in their last 17 games, and now they end up facing San Diego's ace and Joe Musgrove. He's 8-5, 3 ERA, 120 strikeouts, 28 walks, and 120 innings pitched. He has a 3.08 home ERA in his San Diego hometown, and for San Francisco starting today is Alex Cobb. That's 26 walks in 88.1 innings pitched. Alex Cobb's road ERA is 6.22. So I think this was the play. So I guess if we're teasing my 2 favorite plays, this is the ultimate lock, the ultimate bounce back. I have San Diego losing Monday night. Who knows? They could even win that game. But I think this is if they lose, it's a nice bounce back spot for the new look Padres. Fortune favors the bold. So if of the pricey money line.
Yeah, I think we look at Joe Musgrove. I mean, this is crazy to think that going back to last season that I mean I understand that they're in the same division, but he faced this Giants team last season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times last season. This is going to be his 8th start in as many going back to last season. So I mean, he has a familiarity with this Giants lineup, and like you mentioned, they just haven't been hitting the ball very well. Have the San Francisco Giants. I'm just putting up their WRC plus numbers over the last 2 weeks against right-handed pitching. And they are, let's see, San Francisco is all the way down at number 26 against right-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. So I think this might be, like you mentioned, the spot where the Padres offense breaks out. Maybe it's in the series. I know we picked them to win on Monday night. But I think there's a good bounce back spot here for the Padres with Joe Musgrove on the mound, who did have a bad outing in his last start. So hopefully this is going to be a spot where he does bounce back for the San Diego Padres. All right, next game on the board, it's going to be the Minnesota Twins headed to LA to take on the Dodgers. 10:10 Eastern start. Joe Ryan on the mound for the Minnesota Twins. Julio Urias on the mound for the LA Dodgers. Looking at the lines for this game, I am seeing the Dodgers are a $2 favorite against the Minnesota Twins, plus 170 on the money line for the Minnesota Twins. Over-under set at 8.5, minus 115 for the Twins. Run line minus 1.5, plus 110 for the Dodgers, and plus 1.5, minus 130 for the Minnesota Twins. Pretty intriguing matchup here. I think there's another low-key great matchup between these two pitchers here, Noah. But I'll let you lead this one off, buddy. Twins and Dodgers.
Yeah, love this matchup. Like we mentioned earlier with that Urquidy Perez matchup, this is another one of those that is kind of just under the radar. Great. Just there's two aces going up in the nightcap, so it's hard to be the headliner. Both of them were worthy, but we'll get to that headliner in a second here. But the Dodgers, they're on an 8-game win streak right now, right there with the Cardinals, super hot. And at home, they're almost automatic. They're 15-2 in their last 17 home games for Joe Ryan, Minnesota's starter today. 8-4, 367 ERA, 89 strikeouts, 25 walks, and 90.2 innings pitched. And he has a 2.01 ERA in his last 6 games. And for the Dodgers, Julio Urias, 11-6, 257 ERA, 109 strikeouts, 24 walks, 115.2 innings pitched this year. He has a 0.97 ERA in his last 3 games, so he's going very well. Ryan does very well. He's had a great stretch of 6 starts here. The total is set pretty high here at 8.5 with 2 good pitchers, a good Doyer bullpen, and an improved Tweaky bullpen. I love the under here.
Yeah, I was curious to see why this number was so high. And again, like you mentioned, this is a pretty good pitching matchup between these two squads. I lean with the under here as well. I feel like there might be a little bit of value here on the Minnesota Twins, especially with Joe Ryan on the mound. Now, you take a look at WRC Plus over the last 2 weeks. Minnesota is number 11 against left-handed pitching. Let me filter that down to how they've done in away games against left-handed pitching. They're all the way that. If I filter it and add the away games, they jump all the way up to number 4 against left-handed pitching on the road. So, yeah, I will lean with the Minnesota Twins here at plus 170 on the money line against the Dodgers. I do like your call about the under this game as well. All right, Noah, last game of the night. It's going to be the pitching matchup of the night. The New York Yankees in Seattle take on the Mariners at 10:10 Eastern start as well. Garrett Cole on the mound for the New York Yankees. Luis Castillo on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. Looking at the opening lines for this game, the Yankees are a road favorite of minus 135 in this game, plus 115 on the money line for the Seattle Mariners, the home puppy. Over-under set at 7 with juice towards the over at minus 120. Run line minus 1.5, plus 140 for the New York Yankees, and plus 1.5, minus 165 for the Seattle Mariners. We know the story about Garrett Cole in his last start against the Mariners, and he got blown up in that first inning. He gave up 6 earned runs in that very first inning, but he was out there for another 5 innings where he didn't allow any more runs to the Seattle Mariners. Gave up 3 long bombs in that game, did have 8 strikeouts in that game. But, you know, Garrett Cole over his last 5 games, 1-2 with a 4.50 ERA. On the road, he is 5-1 with a 4.28 ERA, but now you're going to a pitcher's ballpark here between these two squads. Maybe runs will be at a premium here, maybe a bounce back spot. Sorry, for Garrett Cole. But let me get to Luis Castillo here real quick. He on the season is having a pretty decent year. 5-4 with a 2.95 ERA over his last 5 games, 2-0 with a 2.51 ERA. This is going to be his 3rd start against his New York Yankees team over his last 4 starts. And his last start came on August 3rd last week, where he went 6 2/3 innings, allowed 3 earned runs to the New York Yankees. The Mariners did go on to win that game 7-3. And then he also had a start back on July 14th against the Yankees, where he threw 7 innings and only allowed 1 earned run in that span to the New York Yankees. They also won that game to the Reds 7-6. So he's very familiar with this lineup. I also do want to mention that Luis Castillo has had at least 8 strikeouts, or has exactly 8 strikeouts in 4 straight starts in his last 4 games. So if that
Through
number,
bad matchups too.
yeah, it has been. He had the Yankees twice where he had 8 strikeouts each. He had the Marlins where he had 8, and then also the Tampa Bay Rays where he had 8. He's won in his last 5. His respective team have won 6 straight of his starts so far over the last 6 games. I'm gonna stay here with the Seattle Mariners here, Noah. I feel like Castillo's in great form. I think that he's pitched well against the Yankees over his 2 out of his last 3 starts. They're in a pitcher's ballpark here. Maybe the long ball is not going to be flying out like it was in Yankee Stadium, especially in right field there. I'm a huge fan of Castillo. I'll be looking at strikeout props in this game as well. But I'm going to go with the home puppy here. Give me the Mariners plus 115 on the money line in this game here, Noah.
Yeah, I think this one's really interesting. I think it's a sneaky spot for the over, actually.
Okay.
We saw Garrett Cole get absolutely blown up. Yeah, I know it might be ballpark factor in Yankee Stadium with the short porch and right after we saw that little Kalenic third row bomb. But
Yeah.
6 runs in the first inning is no joke. So they were seeing the ball very well out of Cole's hands early in that game. Now, Castillo has just absolutely shoved against the Yankees twice.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to do that against this Yankees lineup for a third straight time? I don't know. And this total's set at 7 right now. I kind of like the over.
Okay.
But I don't blame you for taking the Mariners. I'm definitely on the Mariners with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his last, 4 of his last 5, or even if you want to go back even further, when he was with the Reds, I think that's 3, 7, 8. So of his last 8 starts, 7 out of those 8 games have produced 7 or more runs in Castillo starts, and Garrett Cole. It's just really hard to predict what's going to happen. I did want to mention this. I believe I saw a stat after his last start. Um, Against the Mariners that Garrett Cole is 14-6 to the to runs being scored in the first inning. And so if you are a first inning better, if you like
Nerfy
Nerfies or a Yerfie, 14-6 towards the Yerfie for Garrett Cole. So keep that in mind here tomorrow between these two squads. But Noah likes the over in this game, 7, and I do like the Mariners home puppy here as well.
And we have to mention it. Captain Insano, avid Yankees fan, in the comments, when he's against the Yankees, it kind of, his words are pretty heavy here on this podcast. So
yeah,
he backs us as well.
Yeah, you got to listen when Captain Insano's saying to fade his own team. So
yeah,
we always appreciate the unbiased opinions about our respective teams. All right, so that was the last game of the evening. Before we get into our lock in dog, let me tell you guys about IP Vanish. IP Vanish is the official VPN of SGPN. And did you know that browsing online using incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? That's right. Without added security, you might as well give away all your private details, your data to hackers, advertisers, your ISP, and other prying eyes. That's why we at SGPN use IPVanish VPN to make it easy to stay truly private and secure on the internet. IPVanish helps you safely browse the internet by encrypting 100% of your data. This means that your private details, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be completely shielded from falling into the wrong hands. Even your physical location will be hidden. IPVanish makes you virtually invisible online. It's that simple. You can use IPVanish on unlimited devices without sacrificing on speed. Your computers, tablets, phones, even devices like your Fire Stick when you're streaming media. Whether I'm at home or in public, I don't go online anymore without using IPVanish. IPVanish is offering us incredible 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's like getting 9 months for free. IPVanish is super easy to use, and all you have to do is tap one button so you're instantly protected. You won't even know it's on. Stop sharing with the world everything you stream, everything you search for, and everything you buy. Take your privacy back today with a brand rated 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. So go to ipvanish.com/SGP and use promotional code SGP and claim your 70% savings. That's ipvanish.com/SGP. All right, Noah, it's that time to get into our lock and dog for the evening. I will let you lead this one off, my man. What is your lock and dog for the Tuesday night schedule?
Gonna start off with a dog because I really love it. The Padres, the run line -1 or +118, -1.5. I just think this is a huge spot for Joe Musgrove. It's a bounce back for him, like you mentioned. He's back in his hometown where he pitches better at home. 3.08 home ERA. Alex Cobb, he pitches worse on the road. 6.22 road ERA. I think this is a huge get right spot for this new look Padres offense. I could have gone anywhere really. I could give out my lock. I also really love the Tommy Henry strikeout prop for tomorrow for my lock. I have 3 totals that I'm also betting tomorrow as well. You can go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com. We have a or Malcolm sometimes out here. Did you miss any of what I said?
Yeah, I got your dog of the Padres, and then also to check out the website, sportsgamblingpodcast.com for
Okay.
our MLB picks as well. Yeah. You want to get over to your lock of the
Yep.
day here, Noah?
And what'd you say?
I'm sorry, your lock.
Yeah, my lock. So, like I said, I'm betting like 3 or 4 of them totals tomorrow.
Okay.
Picking out my favorite Houston game. Even I like it at 7.5 if it falls tomorrow in the morning. Both these guys have great histories against their in-division rival and Martin Perez and Jose Urquidy. I love that pitching matchup, and I don't know if you guys heard it when I lagged out, but Tommy Henry loved that strikeout prop blind. I would take it at 5.5. I think he gets at least 6 strikeouts tomorrow against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who I'm also a fan.
We might have to ladder that Tommy Henry pop tomorrow. If that number comes out 3.5, I think we have to buy it all the way up to 5.5. Noah, for the Tommy Henry strikeout prop, probably ladder it up.
Yeah, sorry. I think 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. Love that. I think he gets at least 6. So a ladder would be nice.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let me get over to my lock and dog of the day. I'm going to go with Alek Manoah and the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow. 1.5 on the run line, -1.5, -105. Mentioned the numbers about Alek Manoah against the Orioles. He's had great numbers, but this is really, I think, a fade of Kyle Bradish here. Like I mentioned, against the AL East opponents, he hasn't been very good. I know the bullpen is pretty good for the Baltimore Orioles, but I think there's a spot where possibly if the Blue Jays, the Blue Jays drop game 1, that they come out even more motivated with Alek Manoah on the mound, and that's their ace pitcher. He's been having a Cy Young caliber year for the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm going to take them on that run line short price of -105 against the Baltimore Orioles and Kyle Bradish on the mound as my lock. For my dog, there was a couple of ones that I did like. Let's see. I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers first 5 innings money line with Martin Perez and Jose Urquidy. I know you highlighted that this is one of your favorite totals for tomorrow, and I think that there's a lot of value on the Texas Rangers, especially the way Martin Perez has pitched against the Houston Astros. And I'm going to continue to back that here within the first 5 innings. I'm not going to trust the bullpen for the Texas Rangers here. So that number's not out yet, but since they are a +160 underdog for the game, that number is still obviously going to be at a plus price within the first 5 innings for the Texas Rangers. Another one that I was considering was the Oakland A's money line as well against Ohtani. I think there's some value there on that +150 as well. But for my official dog of the day on the pod, I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers first 5 inning money line against the Houston Astros with Martin Perez and Jose Urquidy on the mound, like Noah mentioned. That's going to do it for this edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast. Noah, anything else you want to get off your chest before we get out of here, buddy?
Yeah, I just want to apologize for just my Wi-Fi's performance today. That was its worst. It struck out a golden sombrero. 4 strikeouts, 5 strikeouts. I don't know how many times I lagged out today, but I have an Ethernet cord, but it's just a ton of stuff to move down in the basement for all this recording gear. So I was like, you know what? It's not terrible today. I'll try to push it, be in my room with a nice backdrop with the jerseys and the trophies and stuff that I won growing up. But you know what? Quality is better than just backdrop. So learn my lesson. Tomorrow, maybe going on. If my Wi-Fi struggles, you guys will just have Tiger Woods and
yeah, no worries, man. We always
I apologize for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no worries. It's always one of those things with technology. Sometimes it wants to act up at the wrong times of the day. But yeah, like Noah said, we'll be back here tomorrow as usual. So make sure to check us out on the YouTube stream. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, MLB Gambling Podcast. You'll see the SGPN banner. Noah, what else?
I also forgot, since you mentioned yesterday or tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow I think I signed up for an hour with Kramer in the 24-hour fantasy football best ball draft. Popping the cherry for best ball. I'm not a best ball drafter, but I am like a home league guy. I'm a home league champion most of the time. My buddies go to me for fantasy football stuff. Why not try it? You know, it doesn't hurt to try. So I'm sure Kramer will be pretty nice to me. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I'll be on tomorrow night on SGP. And then of course we'll be back tomorrow as well in some shape or form.
Yep. Make sure, I know last year when he did this, I had him on one of my screens all day long to kind of get me through the day as well. So just, it makes, I'm sure that it makes the day go by faster for Kramer, the 24 hours when people are commenting, or, a lot of the SGPN contributors and guests are going to be joining him to do best ball drafts as well. So definitely check him out. All right. With that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Like I said, we'll be back here tomorrow as well to handicap the games for Wednesday. Till then, good luck with your picks. Let's break these books off and let it ride.